Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Shinkara. Today, I'm really excited because I get to talk about one of my most anticipated games of the year, Persona 4 Arena. For those who don't know, Persona 4 on the PS2 is my favorite game of all time, so it's really neat to see the universe expanded in so many ways. In fact, on top of Persona 4 Arena, there's been a 25-episode run of an anime based on the original game called Persona 4 The Animation. You can actually watch the fully subtitled episodes right now on the AnimeNetwork.com, with a dubbed Blu-ray and DVD coming to North America this September. There's also, of course, the Vita re-release Persona 4 Golden, and Japan even has a live stage play that's been running since March. To say the least, it's never been a better time to be a Persona fan. But we're getting way off track. Let's get talking about the game at hand.
The desperate fighting program amongst high school students. A new legend is about to start.
May the manliest of all men come on down!
Fight and survive towards the one throne waiting at the end. The P1 Grand Prix where fierce fights will be fought. The battle begins tonight.
Persona 4 Arena is a 2D fighting game collaboration between Atlus and BlazBlue developer Arc System Works that pits characters from both Persona 4 and Persona 3 against one another. Outside of the PSP Dissidia titles and the PS1 fighter Ehrgeiz, there haven't really been any RPG franchises that have made the leap to a fighting game. The apparent goal with this game was twofold. One, expand the Persona universe to a different genre in an effort to bridge the gap between RPG and fighting fans, and two, make it technical enough for the fighting fans but also include an interesting story with a fighting system that's accessible enough for the RPG fans. In both respects, I feel like Persona 4 Arena does a fairly good job at accomplishing both goals. While the reason for all these characters coming together to fight each other is certainly less contrived than, well, nothing, it still seems like a bit of a stretch.
Well, let's not get carried away. First, we need to see if the Midnight Channel's really back.
Plot is that Persona 4's main protagonist, now named Yu Narakumi, is coming back to visit Inaba and the gang wants to get back together to celebrate. However, the Midnight Channel is back now with all our heroes appearing on it once again. The investigation team reunites and it's time to solve another mystery. By the way, is it just me or does Teddy look ridiculously similar to M. Bison?
Of course.
For fans of Persona 4, it's cool to see your favorite characters again in a new story. Not to mention watching them interact with the Persona 3 characters.
Actually, before we go any further with this, you should take off that ridiculous costume.
We've just met and you're asking me to strip? Are you in league with Kanji?
For the full scope of the story, you'll have to finish the story mode with all the characters, each segment lasting about 3 hours each. As cool as the plot is, the story segments can drag on way too long in between fights, some lasting up to 20 minutes or more at a time. With some of the character stories only including 5 fights, I feel like Atlus is really asking a lot of the audience. Even for the most hardcore Persona fans like myself, you might catch yourself snoozing off or skipping through the dialogue. That's not to say the story isn't interesting, because it is. I just feel like it could have been delivered better and there could have been more fights sprinkled in throughout.
Sheesh, enough blabbering! Make with the fighting already!
Persona 4 Arena certainly has an appealing visual flair that's pretty and exciting to look at, but this is a game after all, and more interactivity in the story mode would have been nice. I mean, there's nothing more interesting than watching text scroll in front of static images, right? Wait. The latest Mortal Kombat perfectly nailed what a story mode should be in a fighting game. It's just a shame Persona 4 Arena's story mode couldn't take a page from it to create something more interesting. When it comes to the actual fighting, the roster might look a bit slim at first glance, but there's more to it than you might expect. Each fighter is accompanied by their persona, basically serving the role of a tag partner, but also crucial for creating combos. Each character is very unique from one another, making no two characters feel the same. For example, Aigis is stronger from ranged with her arsenal of guns, and on the flip side, Yosuke is extremely quick and better at close range. Personally, I prefer this type of roster as opposed to one that's bloated with palette-swapped clones. Arc System Works created an excellent fighting system that was both deep but also accessible for those new to fighting games. By simply mashing on the square or X button if you're playing on Xbox, you can perform an impressive looking combo that's good for some decent damage. Of course, to create more substantial combos, players will need to learn the moves and figure out how they can string them together. Coming from someone who mainly plays RPG and action games, I felt like I was able to pick up the nuances of the game rather quickly and even made up a few of my own combos. There's a couple of interesting features in the game that help it stand out as unique even further. Each character has their own instant kill move that they can perform, but only if they are winning that particular match and have accumulated enough SP. You can also block an opponent's persona briefly by hitting them 4 times in a round. This adds more strategy to the fights as it essentially eliminates more than half of the fighter's moveset. One cool addition that the RPG fans will appreciate are the status ailments such as poison, shock, and freeze that you can inflict on your opponents throughout the match. There are a couple of modes available to help foster learning. Lesson mode will teach you the basics of the game in a matter of minutes, challenge mode teaches you how to perform longer combos, and both training and arcade mode are great for testing out your new moves you've just learned. For those wanting to test their skills online, network mode is the place to be. Join quick matches against appropriately skilled players or set up your own rooms for friends to join. The netcode has been very solid for the most part on PS3, but I've heard the Xbox 360 version has been having some issues and should have a patch incoming soon if not available already. Overall, it's been a rather enjoyable experience playing online, but I do have a few minor complaints. The fact that a fighting game in 2012 still can't put in an online tournament mode blows my mind, and at times it can take quite a while to match up with other players. It also has to be said that Persona 4 Arena's presentation is off the charts. Every single thing in it, from the menus to the super flashy moves, look absolutely stunning. It's all the little details though, like the stylized user interface and the liberal use of Persona 4's signature color yellow, that add up to help the game really pop. Arc System Works did an excellent job once again creating some of the most detailed sprite models, with each one doing their original design justice. While mainly limited to the school, level backgrounds are also highly detailed and reminiscent of the areas from the original game, with the theme of televisions present in nearly every one. It's also kind of odd to hear the once mute Yu Narakumi voice for the first time.
Alright, we should get together tomorrow like we planned. It's good to be here.
The voice work is solid overall, but nothing mind-blowing. Fans were in an uproar over the initial trailer, noting that Teddy and Chie's voice actors had been changed, and also wondering if others had been as well. While no other voice actors had been changed, that particular trailer was a bit over-exuberant in my opinion, and not an accurate representation of the voice work in the actual game. Once you start making your way through the story mode, everyone sounds as they should, and you'll hardly notice the differences to Teddy and Chie. Familiar tunes are also present throughout, with a few added tracks and remixes that fit the vibe of the universe quite well. When it comes to presentation in a fighting game, it's hard to top Persona 4 Arena. While it can be a bit of a mixed bag at times, Persona 4 Arena is still a total blast. Coming from someone who typically never plays fighting games, I'm pretty hooked. The more I play, the more I want to keep learning crazier combos and the more competitive I end up being online. I'd recommend this to any fighting game fan, as this is sure to be a unique experience, but RPG fans of the original game will need to decide why they might play a game like this. If you're hoping for an engrossing story, Persona 4 Arenas is decent, but has some pacing and delivery issues. However, the fighting mechanics are easy to pick up and you'll have a lot of fun learning the moves little by little. Boy, it's a lot later than I thought. I must have lost track of time. Anyway, thanks for tuning in everyone, we'll see you next time. Hey, thanks for coming back and watching another one of my videos. I really appreciate it. In case you missed the first episode of Shinkara, it's right there. You can click the little annotation, it'll take you right to it. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a like, or if you didn't like it, you can give it a thumbs down and let me know. And if you've been playing Persona 4 Arena, tell me about it in the comments and let me know what you think about the game. And also, that subscribe button, it's waiting for you to click on it. Hey, and if you want to play with me online, be sure to send me a message with your PSN ID and we could definitely play a match together.